Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Empowered. If you're new here, I'm your host, Alkistis, the founder of Alchemia Self-Care Rituals, a wellness brand rooted in self-discovery and healing journey. If you're new to the Empowered podcast, welcome. I'm your host, Alkistis, and this is a space dedicated to self-discovery, womanhood, and embracing all parts of ourselves, even those that often stay in the shadows. Here, we dive into the real, sometimes raw topics that don't always get the attention they deserve. From personal growth to navigating boundaries, healing, and everything in between. This is a space where you feel free to explore, question, and grow. Please make sure to subscribe and join us to building in a strong, supportive community together. Every voice here matters. With each episode, we're creating a space where we can feel heard, supported, and inspired. Thank you for being part of the Empowered. So let's begin. Today's episode is about a book that transformed my life, When the Body Says No by Gabor Maté. This book gave me the key to understanding a hidden language, the language of our bodies. Dr. Maté's research opened my eyes to how unresolved emotions and stress often appear as physical symptoms, a truth I now see reflected in my own life. This episode, I'll share Maté's insight and share how they helped me make sense of my own experiences. We'll explore the messages behind our physical pain, tension, and discomfort, and how tuning into these signals can guide us on a journey toward healing. So if you ever felt like your body was talking to you, sending signals or symptoms you couldn't quite interpret, then this episode is for you. So, with no further ado, let's begin. I'd like to start with an introduction to Dr. Gabor Maté's groundbreaking work. Dr. Maté is a physician who focuses on the powerful link between emotional stress and physical health. And When the Body Says No, he explores how chronic stress and suppressed emotions often manifest as illness in the body. According to Dr. Maté, our bodies communicate what we can't or won't say out loud. He explains that when we suppress emotions like anger, sadness, or anxiety, those feelings don't simply disappear. They remain in the body and can eventually manifest as physical symptoms. I experienced this firsthand after my father passed away. Shortly afterward, I found myself unable to speak. My vocal cords seemed to shut down, as if my body was carrying the weight of grief I hadn't fully processed. For weeks, I couldn't find my voice, literally and emotionally. At the time, I didn't see this as connected to my grief, but looking back, I understand that it was my body's way of signaling the depth of the pain I was carrying. Dr. Maté's perspective is backed by a fascinating field called psychoneuroimmunology. I know this may sound a little bit like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but bear with me. This studies how emotions impact immune functions and overall health. Chronic stress can lead to immune suppression, inflammation, and even physical changes in the body, increasing our vulnerability to illness. Maté's message is clear. Learning to process our emotions can have profound effect on our overall well-being. Let's talk about some of the signals our bodies send us and what they may mean. The idea here isn't to diagnose ourselves, but to consider that our bodies may be reflecting unresolved emotions or stress. For me, this journey continued. About 2 years after my father's passing, I developed photophobia, an extreme sensitivity to light. I couldn't even tolerate simple daylight. Looking back, I realized it was almost as if my body couldn't face something painful. Dr. Maté's work helped me see that it wasn't a random symptom. It was my body's way of signaling unprocessed emotions. Common symptoms like headache may often be linked to mental overload or perfectionism, symbolizing the pressure we carry. Neck and shoulder tension can indicate stress or the feeling of being burdened by responsibilities. Lower back pain frequently reflects concerns about stability or financial insecurity. And gut issues often respond to stress or anxiety, reflecting what we might call a gut feeling. The point here isn't to feel guilty about our symptoms, but to be curious about areas of tension and consider whether an emotional layer might be underneath. Our bodies often communicate what our minds might be avoiding. So, in this book that I read, When the Body Says No, Dr. Gabor Maté discusses the long-term impact of repressed emotions and chronic stress on our physical health, emphasizing that the body can only carry emotional burdens for so long before it starts to communicate through physical symptoms. Maté research, along with countless studies in fields like psychoneuroimmunology, shows us that our bodies are deeply affected by the stress and unresolved emotional pain we carry with us day after day. When we experience stress, our bodies respond by producing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. While these hormones are helpful in short bursts, designed to help us handle immediate challenges, they become harmful when activated over long periods. High cortisol levels over time suppress our immune function, making us more vulnerable to infections, inflammation, or even chronic diseases. It's like our bodies are constantly preparing to fight a battle, even when there's no immediate threat. This prolonged state of fight or flight actually wears down our physical resilience. One of the most powerful insights Dr. Maté offers is how people who repress their emotions or prioritize others' needs above their own, think caregivers, chronic people pleasers, or those who struggle to say no, are at great risk for stress-related conditions. This self-sacrifice is deeply ingrained in many of us, especially in cultures that praise selflessness as a virtue. But while putting others first may feel noble, when we constantly ignore our own needs, we become disconnected from our own health and boundaries, setting ourselves for burnout and physical breakdown. Take, for example, conditions like autoimmune diseases. Research, including studies that Dr. Maté highlights, suggests that autoimmune diseases can sometimes develop as physical expression of chronic internal conflict. When we suppress who we truly are and constantly put others before ourselves, our bodies may interpret this as internal attack. It's as if our immune system becomes confused, attacking our own cells because we have been ignoring our own needs for so long. In this way, our bodies mirror the way we treat ourselves emotionally. There's also the issue of pain and inflammation. Chronic pain can often be linked to unresolved trauma or long-held anger and resentment. Many people experience back pain, joint pain, or even migraines that traditional medicine struggles to explain. Dr. Maté suggests that rather than only treating these symptoms physically, we also need to explore any emotional roots. Pain that might stem from feeling unsupported, feeling trapped in caregiving roles, or feeling that our personal boundaries are constantly ignored. As Dr. Maté explains, the cost of unaddressed emotional pain isn't just psychological, it's biological. Our bodies can become so accustomed to being in a state of stress that it starts to feel normal. We adapt to the chronic tension, not realizing that it's gradually eroding our health. And when we ignore these signs, our bodies eventually reach a breaking point. It's not uncommon for people who are used to living in high-stress environments, perhaps balancing demand, careers, family obligation, or societal pressures, to feel their bodies break down as soon as they try to slow down. This is because of the stress that has been held for so long is finally given space to be felt, and it can no longer be ignored. Dr. Maté's message here is a powerful reminder that our bodies are designed to protect us, not only from physical harm, but from unresolved emotional pain as well. When we constantly say yes to things that drain us, our bodies start to say no through illness, fatigue, or chronic pain. Rather than viewing these symptoms as problems, we can see them as messages. Our bodies are urging us to make different choices, to prioritize our well-being and respect our boundaries. So if we're experiencing persistent symptoms that don't seem to have a clear cause, it might be worth asking ourselves, what unspoken feelings or stressors might be playing a role? Are there emotions we've been avoiding? Are there boundaries we haven't set? Often, it's not easy to face these questions, but acknowledging these hidden pressures can be first step toward true healing. Our health depends on our willingness to listen, to stop ignoring what our bodies have been trying to tell us all along. In my own journey, I had to confront the fact that some of the physical symptoms I experienced were deeply tied to emotions I had buried. After my father passed away, I lost my voice. I was in this period of life where my children were just 4 and 2, and every day felt like a delicate balancing act. I was trying so hard to keep everything in place, managing work, caring for my family, and keeping up with the demands of personal life. It all seemed manageable until I developed photophobia. Suddenly, even the simplest daylight was too much. It was until my body was putting up a literal barrier, refusing to let me go on without first facing the grief and emotional weight I'd been carrying. I realized that I've been so focused on holding everything together, on staying strong, that I didn't allow myself any real space to find the sadness, anger, and loss I was pushing aside. My body was finally intervening, telling me, you cannot keep pushing these feelings aside. Reflecting on this now, I see how crucial it was to stop and acknowledge those emotions instead of suppressing them. Only by facing them could I begin to rebuild a healthy relationship with my body, a relationship that respects and listens to the messages it's sending. This insight has been a cornerstone of my healing process, reminding me that our bodies too need compassion and care, especially in the times of overwhelming trauma and emotion. Now that we understand the toll repressed emotions and stress can take on our bodies, let's talk about how we can start listening to these messages in a meaningful way. Tuning into your body is a practice, a skill you can build over time. And here are a few practical steps to start listening to what your body is telling you and to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself. One of the simplest and most effective ways to connect with your body is through a technique called body scanning. This is a mindfulness exercise where you mentally scan your body from head to toe, paying attention to each part as you go. As you move down, notice any areas of tension, discomfort, or pain without judgment. Just observe. You don't need to fix anything in the moment. The goal is simply to notice what your body's holding. For instance, as you scan, you may realize that you're clenching your jaw or that your shoulders feel heavy. This awareness alone can be powerful because it brings you into direct contact with your physical state. Sometimes acknowledging these areas of tension is enough to start letting them go. Body scanning is a gentle way to check in with yourself and develop the habit of noticing how your emotions might be physically manifesting. Somatic awareness goes a bit deeper by connecting physical sensations with possible emotional roots. After identifying a sensation, ask yourself if there's an emotional or unresolved issue tied to it. For example, if you feel tightness in your chest, reflect on whether there's something in your life right now that's making you anxious or worried. Or if you notice a reoccurring ache in your shoulders, consider if you're taking on too much responsibility or feeling too weighed down by obligations. Dr. Gabor Maté's work shows us that physical symptoms often correlate with unacknowledged emotions. By naming these emotions and allowing yourself to feel them without judgment, you're already starting to release some of the tension you're holding. Somatic awareness doesn't mean you have to fully understand the why behind each sensation. It's more about cultivating curiosity and creating space to explore what your body might be expressing. Journaling is another powerful tool for tuning into your body. Writing things down can help you get to the root of reoccurring physical sensations and notice patterns over time. You might start with prompts like, where am I feeling tension right now? Or what emotions might I be suppressing? Another question to explore could be, if my pain or tension could speak, what would they say? When you give voice to these sensations through journaling, you're often able to connect the dots between how you feel physically and emotionally. For example, you might notice that every time you feel tension in your neck, it coexists with the times when you're taking on too many responsibilities or holding back from expressing something important. Journaling helps you gain clarity on these patterns, and with that clarity comes the opportunity to address the underlying emotions. I want to share something with you that's been a huge part of my own growth journey. tools that help me stay grounded, focused, and intentional in my daily life. One of those tools is the 5-minute journal from Intelligent Change. This journal has been a game changer for me, helping me practice gratitude, set my daily intentions, and reflect on positive things even on tough days. If you're someone who's looking to create a more mindfulness and self-awareness into your daily life, this is a powerful place to start. The 5-minute journal is all about creating space to reflect and perfect for practicing non-judgment and embracing discomfort in small steps daily. As a special thank you for being part of this community and tuning in to today's episode, I'm excited to offer you a 10% discount on any Intelligent Change products, including the 5-minute journal, using code ALCHEMIA10 at checkout. Whether you're looking for a daily journaling practice or a tool to help you reflect more mindfully, this discount is my way of saying thank you for prioritizing your self-growth and healing. You can find the link to Intelligent Change products in the show notes down below. Remember to use code ALCHEMIA10 for 10% off your order. Let's keep growing, keep healing, and keep moving forward together. Sometimes simply moving our bodies through stretching, gentle yoga, or even a walk can help release emotions stored in certain areas. As you stretch, notice any areas that feel tight or resistant. If you feel tension in a specific muscle, stay there for a moment, breathe, and try to let go. Ask yourself if there's an emotion or thought that comes as you stretch that part of your body. Physical movement isn't about exercise. It's a way of connecting to yourself and creating a release for any emotions that may be stuck in certain areas. Gentle, mindful movement can be a form of physical and emotional cleansing, allowing you to feel lighter and more centered. As we practice tuning into our bodies, self-compassion is crucial. Remember, your body is on your side. It's doing its best to communicate with you, even if the message comes in form of discomfort or pain. When you approach body awareness with self-compassion, you're creating a space where it's safe to explore what's really going on without fear or criticism. Remind yourself that there's no right or wrong way to listen to your body. This process isn't about achieving perfection. It's about understanding yourself better and honoring what you need. If a particular sensation or emotion feels overwhelming, acknowledge it and know that you can take things at your own pace. Self-compassion allows you to respect your limits and practice self-care in a way that feels genuine and healing. One of the most effective ways to stay connected with your body is through regular check-ins. You can make this a simple daily practice by taking just a few moments throughout the day to ask yourself, how is my body feeling right now? You don't need to spend a lot of time. Just notice if there's any tension, discomfort, or sense of ease. These brief moments of checking in help keep you grounded and aware, especially during stressful days. It allows you to catch signs of stress or discomfort early before they escalate. With practice, regular check-ins become a natural part of your day, like a mini reset for your mind and body. Listening to your body isn't something we're often taught, but it's a powerful practice for emotional and physical health. These steps, body scanning, somatic awareness, journaling, breathing exercises, mindful movement, self-compassion, and regular check-ins are tools you can strengthen your connection with yourself. By creating space for these practices, you're telling your body that its messages are valued and that you're ready to listen. As you start tuning in more consistently, you might be surprised what you discover. Insights into what you need, emotions you've been carrying, and areas where you can start making meaningful changes. Listening to your body is an act of self-respect and self-care, and it's a gift you can give yourself every day. I want to share with you one of the most transformative parts of my journey with you. A shift that came from learning to recognize the signals my body was sending me, and more importantly, to truly listen. Dr. Gabor Maté's teaching on somatic awareness have guided me in understanding how our bodies carry the weight of unprocessed emotions, and that these emotions often manifest physically if left unattended. One of the most profound realizations I had was how my knee pain began appearing around the same time I started setting boundaries, something I never really prioritized before. In somatic work, the knees are often thought to represent movement, flexibility, and our ability to bend and move forward. For me, this knee pain became more than just a physical discomfort. It was a signal from my body that it was time to align my actions with my emotional needs, to release patterns that no longer served me. When I first noticed the pain, my initial instinct was to brush it off as something physical, unrelated to my inner world. But as Dr. Maté's teaching reminded me, our bodies often speak when we don't allow ourselves to express what's beneath the surface. With time, I saw that this knee pain was deeply tied into my journey of setting boundaries. I was moving into new, unknown territory, emotionally and relationally, and my body was prompting me to pay attention. As I leaned into this awareness, I learned not to silence my body's messages, but to embrace them as a part of my healing. Instead of seeing pain as an obstacle, I started viewing it as a guidance, a nudge toward growth and authenticity. Rather than letting these emotions remain suppressed, I allowed them to surface and to be felt, knowing that the discomfort was a pathway to healing. Dr. Maté speaks about the significance of creating space for our bodies to express themselves, and I took that to heart. By practicing somatic awareness, I wasn't just reacting to pain. I was tuning in with intention, noticing how my body felt, and recognizing the patterns that arose. This knee pain became an opportunity to be present with my own growth, to understand that pain was a necessary and valuable part of moving forward. By listening to these messages, I learned to realize the emotional burdens that were once trapped within. Instead of carrying them in silence, I allowed my body to express itself. Somatic awareness has been a powerful reminder to live in alignment, to respect my needs, and to create boundaries that reflect my values. In this process, I'm learning to see my body as a trusted guide, a partner on my own journey toward healing and wholeness. The knee pain, the other physical sensations, they were all part of the dialogue I could finally engage with openly and compassionately. And this isn't about perfection, it's about presence, about building trust with ourselves and honoring our needs without judgment. This journey has taught me that healing is not a linear path, and it's certainly not an easy one to walk. Healing and growth often involve difficult choices and can be filled with grief as we leave behind versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. Moving toward our highest, best selves can mean saying goodbye to past selves, which isn't easy. And honestly, not everyone feels ready for it. But as I walk this healing journey, I remind myself that allowing pain to surface is part of the process. Each day, I'm healing myself with gentle care and compassion, recognizing that true change is gradual and that every small step counts. As you step into somatic awareness, remember that this journey doesn't need to be rushed. The body has its own timeline, and by simply listening, you're already taking meaningful steps toward deeper healing and understanding. Come to the end of this episode. I want to thank you for being here and sharing the space with me. I know that tuning into your body, listening to the messages it holds, and embracing the journey of healing is not easy. It's a path that requires patience, courage, and the willingness to face parts of ourselves that we might have left in the shadows. But remember, each moment you choose to listen, you're honoring yourself, respecting your journey, and taking powerful steps towards true wholeness. Healing is not a straight line, and there's no rush. Every time you bring compassion, awareness, and gentleness into yourself, you're rewriting your story of how you care for your mind, body, and spirit. And that's a beautiful act of self-care. As Dr. Brené Brown says, you can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. This journey of healing and listening to our bodies requires just that, an openness to being vulnerable, to facing the hard truths we may have avoided, and to embracing the messiness of the growth. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about presence, showing up fully for ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable. As Brené Brown reminds us, courage and vulnerability go hand in hand. Each time we pause, listen to our bodies, and honor our needs, we're practicing an act of courage, a step towards reclaiming our wholeness. So as we close, remember that walking this path takes both strength and compassion. Vulnerability might feel uncomfortable, but it's the foundation of true connection, not just with others, but with ourselves. Keep moving forward, gently and with courage. The journey is worth it. Thank you so much for being part of the Empowered. If this episode resonated with you, please consider subscribing, sharing, or leaving a comment. Together, we're building a community where we can all feel heard, understood, and supported on our paths. Remember, you're not alone in this journey, and you're so deserving of healing and peace. Until next time, keep listening to your body, honoring your growth, and giving yourself grace every step of the way. Till next time, see you.